of time, so we are going to get started this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Business First event sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield. My name is Kelsey McCaig and I am part of the Southwest Michigan First Team. This series of small business discussions was specifically designed to strengthen and grow businesses in our community. And we hope these virtual events will bring together the knowledge of experts as well as foster discussion between community leaders and small business owners, and hopefully focus on topics that are important to you. So if any questions do arise throughout the presentation for our speakers, please feel free to put them in the chat box. Our team will be monitoring the chat and we will do our best to field your questions to our speakers. And then I do want to make you all aware that the Zoom call will be recorded. So this morning we are joined by Jennifer Kitson-Jelinek of the Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership, Carl McAllister of Kamili Activewear, Nichole Blum of the YWCA, and Micahel Evans of the Kalamazoo Literacy Council to discuss existing programs, resources, and partnerships that make Kalamazoo an attractive place for entrepreneurs to flourish. So this morning, we will start with Jennifer Kitson-Jelinek, Chief Operating Officer at the Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Awesome, thank you for having me. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'm hoping this will be an interesting presentation. So I like to nerd out on urban planning and economic development, so I'm hoping there are some other nerds that like to nerd out with me this morning. So like Kelsey said, I work for the Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership as a Chief Operating Officer. I've spent a little bit of time, I've been doing this work in the public sector and economic development for more than 10 years now. I spent some time out in New York working for the Business Improvement District program there. And I just think that these community development organizations are fantastic tools and a great way for the community to be able to make decisions about how we reinvest in our community. So our organization specifically is focused on Kalamazoo downtown, which has a geographical boundary. So legally speaking, our investments, time and resources have to be geographically bounded and focused. So, but I think that really the region benefits from that. I think having a strong downtown and a strong urban center is really important to the success of our region. And so that is the work that we're doing. So we feel like we are one piece of the puzzle, if you will, or one piece of the pie in this broader economic development ecosystem. So I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit about some of the things that we do both to support the downtown more broadly and to support businesses. So I'll get set up here, my screen share, and do we have a go? And I always like to watch reactions from those who join my video. So I'm just going to get my video set up here so I can see faces because all this feels good. All right, so here we go. So starting with this slide, so like I said, our organization does everything and anything related to the downtown. So supporting the downtown is really our goal. You know, as COVID hit, we had a lot of conversations around what does this mean for our organization and what do we need to be focusing on. And so I think there were some slight shifts in how we prioritize, obviously, and what that means. But I think at the end of the day, our key and central focus was really keeping downtown open for business. And so, you know, when I talk about being the piece of the pie, we all have a role to play in the economic development ecosystem. Our role as an organization is really about place. It's placemaking. So again, we're focused on the downtown and focused on, you know, creating a downtown or making downtown into where businesses want to be, where residents want to be, where visitors want to be. So all of that really is focused for us and centered around placemaking. Out of our conversations last year, I think 4 kind of key areas of focus came forward, and those were identifying innovative solutions for outdoor spaces. So again, in light of COVID, outdoor spaces are more important than they ever have been. And as a, you know, a tried and true urban planner, I will say outdoor spaces have always been important and public spaces have always been important. But again, I think that emphasis has only gotten greater with some of the applications of COVID. Second, marketing, promoting, and supporting the downtown businesses. That's sort of an obvious one, but we felt like it was important enough to pull it out and say it specifically. So that's another key area of focus for us. The third is driving foot traffic downtown. That was one of the primary concerns of businesses coming, about a year ago when we did this survey, saying that they were mostly concerned about not seeing a lot of people walking around downtown. So figuring out how can we safely drive foot traffic. And then the final one is activating vacant spaces. So certainly I think these themes still apply, and that's what we've built our entire year on this year, is figuring out how we move initiatives and programming forward to support these key areas of focus. So I'll start with the first one. So what are we doing for outdoor spaces? So a few things. So as part of that is keeping outdoor spaces clean and maintained. So number one, we launched this year in May an ambassador program. This is really sort of the bread and butter of organizations like ours across the country. This is sort of this idea of what we were born out of is, broken windows theory. People will treat a space better if it looks nicer. And so part of that is we've got to keep our downtown clean. We want to get trash off the street. We want to power wash. We want to, remove graffiti when it shows up. So this is a 5-person team that is downtown 7 days a week, doing a lot of that maintenance work. They're also greeting visitors and interacting with, the public. And so we're really excited to have launched that program this year, and they are uniformed in blue shirts. So if you see them, say hello. I think they really appreciate that. So, but we see this also as a value add to businesses, right? We're helping to keep the space around their business clean, right? So if a business and a business owner, we have so many great small business owners downtown, this is us helping them keep their house in order, if you will. So moving down that list, if you all have been to Bates Alley, so in that previous slide, our organization coordinated the implementation of that. It was a community-led effort with community investment from many different organizations, but we coordinated the building of the parklets, the installation of lights, and the painting of that mural. And so we want to continue to invest in that space to support the businesses in and around that space and broadly in downtown. And so we installed a performance pavilion for our weekly music series in the summer called Beats on Bates, and any other times when people want to use that. So we're hoping to build on that in the coming years. We also added 35 bistro tables across the downtown. So you can see that in that bottom photo there. They're silver and anybody is welcome to use them. So again, I think that's an important piece of this time when, COVID is encouraging everybody to get takeout or people are more comfortable in some cases getting takeout. So those are available for public use across the downtown. We also created curbside parking stations. So if you see those, they're 15-minute free parking stations throughout the downtown where you can pull up quickly, pick up what you need to pick up and then head out. So that was another related outdoor space effort that we took on. And we are currently in the process of planning for 2 very exciting efforts. One of those is we are going to introduce recycling to downtown for the first time ever. So in a minute, I'm going to talk a little bit about our Central Commons refreshment area, which is essentially an open container district downtown. But related to that, with so many plastic cups being sold and drinks being served in plastic cups, the need really arose to create a solution for where people can put those when they're done. And so we are excited to be installing 25 new units. They're fully enclosed, they're solar powered. They tell us when they're almost full so that we can go empty them. Trash won't blow out. It'll help keep our entire downtown clean. So really excited about that and look for that this fall. We're hoping September installation at this point. And then finally, we're working on some parklets and outdoor seating options and how we can bring that to businesses downtown. So my final outdoor space initiative that our organization has taken on is the Central Commons refreshment area. So that was established by Kalamazoo in August and launched in September. And it has just been a huge success. So we now have 20 participating businesses across the downtown. This year alone, we have sold or sold 140,000 cups associated with this district. So the way that works based on state regulation is all of the cups have to have the district logo and the business logo. So our organization buys the cups in bulk to make it easier for businesses with the district logo on it, and then the businesses reimburse us for those purchases. So they're super thrilled to have these, and you can see we have different sizes, we have hot cups, all kinds of exciting stuff. And we're estimating that economic impact this year alone to be more than $1 million for our downtown. When you spread that across 20 businesses, that's significant in the tens of thousands. So again, really exciting to see downtown. So if you haven't come downtown and gotten a cocktail and walked around, please make it a point to do so. So you can check that out on our website. It's downtownkalamazoo.org, and at the bottom there's a link to social district. So moving on to marketing, promoting, and supporting downtown businesses. So one of the big things that we've done in this area is leveraging our Downtown Dollars program. So this is a program that has been around for a long time, but when we came in, I joined the organization in 2018, it was still very paper-based. So you would have to physically come to our office, buy the gift card, and leave with the Downtown Dollars. And so we made a big shift to move all of that online to make it more accessible. You can pay by credit card. Again, it's on our website if you want to buy these. And then during the holiday season, what we did is we started to match purchase dollars or to give away free dollars with any Downtown Dollars purchase. So these are dollars that can be redeemed at more than 50 downtown businesses, which is fantastic. So through these promotions, we actually doubled our participating businesses from somewhere in the area of 25, 26 to 52. We ended up giving away, and a thank you to Consumers Energy for being a fantastic partner in this effort. I can't thank them enough, but we gave away $70,000 to the community through these promotions for them to spend in downtown businesses. So we also increased our total circulation on an annual basis. We were seeing between 20, 25,000 downtown dollars come through. So we now have more than $200,000 in circulation. And we're seeing the benefits of that already in businesses. So those are being redeemed. And any of the dollars given away, we set an expiration date in June. The secret is we're still honoring those. So don't worry if you bought them and they have expired. But we set an expiration date to really encourage people to get those out and get those dollars in the doors of businesses, because it was so needed right now and continues to be needed. So we've had since 2019, $135,000 redeemed in downtown businesses, and 86,000 of that is this year alone. So we're really thrilled with that result, and we're going to continue to do this type of promotion because it gets cash into businesses, which is, a huge win, I think, for businesses and certainly for us as an organization. I think in addition to that, and these aren't new things that we're doing, but I also just did want to mention that, as part of the marketing, promoting, and supporting downtown businesses, we take on major communications and marketing efforts. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing communication for the downtown businesses. And we also have some resources specifically available to downtown businesses through redevelopment liquor licenses and sign grants. Again, we're limited in who can benefit from those by boundaries, but those are available, and we're continuing to honor those programs. So then we have foot traffic. So how do you drive foot traffic? I think all of the things that we have done, I've already mentioned, I feel like are things that can drive foot traffic. That's anything for, this is programming and events related, but certainly, putting tables out, creating public spaces, investing in public space, giving away downtown dollars for people to come down and spend. All of that we believe helps drive foot traffic. But also we want to have specific events and programming for visitors to come down and reasons for visitors to come down. So we've tried a lot of new stuff this year. We've partnered with community organizations, fantastic community organizations that do great work in the community. And so At the top of that list in the picture you'll see is Shop Second Saturday. So this is an outdoor market on the North Mall, north of Michigan Ave, on every second Saturday of the month. And tied with, we want people to come down and shop local in our downtown businesses. So it's a campaign, it's an outdoor market, all of the above. But that's one that helps us bring in vendors. We're hoping that people will come downtown, or vendors will come downtown, will put their products out, and they will say, actually, downtown's a great market for my business. I ought to consider renting a long-term space down here. So we're hoping that both this is beneficial for emerging entrepreneurs, but also that it opens eyes and opportunities to how the downtown, how somebody or where somebody might want to locate. So again, a lot of new events, and then I listed all of our returning favorites. So I won't go through those, but always happy to answer questions on all the events we're doing. And then finally, activating vacant spaces. So the big one on this list is working to develop a pop-up program. So this is one of those things that would be, I think, of interest to any entrepreneur, any entrepreneur anywhere. So what we are working on is a kind of a few different tracks on this. And we have a working group of our coalition leadership of about 25 people that's working to develop what the structure of this might look like. And so we're pursuing two different tracks. One of those is a potential arts opportunity. So how might we engage with or activate vacant storefronts with art? So we're pursuing those conversations. I know this community is a great community for art and has so many great resources. And then the other track that we're pursuing is how we bring in, again, emerging entrepreneurs, new vendors, with the idea that we want to showcase, we want to fill vacant space, but we also want to showcase how downtown can be a great market for maybe a more permanent location. So come down, test the market, try it out, and then we're hoping that ultimately those folks will stay. And we see this trend throughout our existing businesses already. So I could name 4 or 5 businesses off the top of my head that have actually started in Park Trade Center or come down as an external vendor in a tent, and they liked it so much that they landed a lease in a storefront. They felt it was valuable enough for them to have a long-term home in downtown. And so that's a huge goal of that program. And so we're excited about the possibilities there and looking to launch that more toward the end of this year. So going into fall, as the weather shifts, we're hoping to have some more structure, some good funding behind this, and be able to really launch something that becomes valuable to the community as a whole. So that's part of our exploring community partnerships in that effort. And then we're working on all the ways in which we can be collecting and disseminating data. Because that's a really, important part of being able to activate public spaces, activate vacant spaces as well, and bring in new tenants. So what information and what data can we be providing? And so that's another ongoing effort for our organization. And with that kind of recaps what we're focused on this year, and brings you to the end of my presentation. If you have questions about anything that you saw in the presentation, feel free to reach out to us via email. We've got our website up there, and I believe there will be questions later. So thanks for your time and attention, everyone.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was great. And I know I've gotten a chance to go downtown quite a bit in the last year or so, and just engage with all the things that you're doing. So thank you for the work you're doing. I did have one follow-up question just for clarification. So as you mentioned at the beginning, right, the Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership has to work within certain guidelines and boundaries for the downtown development district. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the assistance or programs that businesses who are outside those bounds can participate in, and what you're doing, just so we have clarity for those who aren't currently downtown?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a business that's not in the downtown, what I would say is, and there's also businesses that fall outside of our boundary, but people would consider them to be downtown already. So we engage with businesses if you're near, our boundary still. So we're happy to have those conversations. We are a little bit limited in where we can spend certain funds and things based on our geography and the boundary that was drawn around the downtown. So we are limited in that respect. But what I would say is, if you're a business somewhere in the county or region, you know, and you have any interest in downtown Kalamazoo, what I would say is we have the outdoor markets to offer. So I don't know if we have spaces left yet this year for Shop Second Saturday, but it does go until October. So we've had external vendors come into that space. And I think the pop-up program is going to be another great way to be able to engage with our organization. Again, come down, test the downtown market, see if you have success, see what that's like. And then thirdly, I would say, again, if you're interested in downtown, if you're interested in having a storefront downtown, if you're curious about spaces, we're happy to make connections on that front. So, so those are the ways, I think the best ways to engage with us as an organization. That as Kelsey and I were kind of chatting back and forth, I think, again, I really believe that investing in a strong urban center for our region is so critical. We all have a role to play, and we all play an important piece of that puzzle, right? But I think we really see our investments in downtown as investments that benefit the community as a whole. We think that you know, it's important both for talent recruitment in this area for larger companies as they explore where they're going to locate and if they're going to be in Southwest Michigan or not. We think that Kalamazoo plays a strong role in that conversation, you know, based on, you know, national trends and where people want to live and what people want to do and having things to do. So so that's, you know, part of what informs how we invest is both how we directly benefit the stakeholders physically in our downtown, but also what's important as we look more broadly at the region, at national trends, and how we're creating Kalamazoo as, you know, a national name.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Thank you for clarifying. And I will be sure to send out the information on this slide to everybody after the call. So if you want to reach out to Jennifer and her team, you can do so. So thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And now we will switch focus to Carl McAllister. He is the founder and CEO of Kamili Activewear. Carl, thank you for being here this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I will hand the mic over to you.
Awesome. So let's see if I can make sure this functions properly. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
It looks like it says screen sharing on my end still. Let's try it again. There you go.
Okay, now all I have to do is make it in presentation mode. Let's see here.
I think if you go down to that, to the right hand, right there. Yep. That should work. There
Perfect.
you go. Looks perfect.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so good afternoon or good morning still. My name is Carl McAllister. I'm the CEO of Kamili Activewear. And so it's such a pleasure to be able to speak with you guys this morning, and thank you for having me. And so just to get started, as a brief introduction, so I'm from Detroit. I went to Western and I graduated with my engineering management degree with a minor in mathematics. A few of my hobbies are bowling, playing pool, exercising, reading, writing. I just got into golfing, and so I'm not the best at it yet, but I still enjoy it. And also photography is like a newfound hobby as well. And so one of the differentiating characteristics is that I am a full-time project manager / engineer, as well as a full-time entrepreneur. And so my life is crazy. And so I'm also passionate about making others stronger versions of themselves. And so that's pretty much what drove me a little bit to the activewear market. And so from the beginning, what started the venture is the headphone protector that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. And so my senior year at Western, being that I, pretty much exercise on a regular basis, my headphones were starting to fall apart due to sweat, dirt, and, grossness overall. And so I looked online and I did a search to see if they had any products to address this issue. And there wasn't any products on the market at the time. And so I said, this would be a perfect opportunity for me to exercise my creativity and engineering expertise to, resolve this issue. And so, long story short, I wanted to keep the manufacturing in America, but there were some IP complications. So I sent the design to a company in California, had them sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I tried to keep things confidential. A long story short, they pretty much disregarded the NDA and became my first competitor. So from there, I made a pivot while the IP adjustment was going on, and I made that pivot into the activewear market just because, number one, I'm passionate about the whole overall industry in general. And number two, it gives me the opportunity to grow on a larger scale. And so just to reiterate, we transitioned into the activewear market. So that, deals with, yoga pants, jackets, shirts, anything in that, pretty much target audience. One of the things that I'm really, really excited about is that we'll be working on shoes later. So that's on the radar. I'm really passionate about health and wellness, and so I want to bring that into the business soon. I have some really good ideas to engage with the community and the audience, and so that's really exciting. A few of the differentiating factors for Kamili is that we address pain points. So as we discussed, the headphone protector, just offering niche products to address overall complications. We partner with the Goodwill Southwest Michigan, and so they house all of our inventory there. So whenever someone makes a order online, it creates jobs for people with disabilities, veterans, disadvantages, and things like that. The team right now is comprised of most WMU grads or students. And so like the photographer, a lot of the models, our advisors, things like that, we're pretty much one big WMU family. And so that's really exciting. And so we also facilitated a lot of programs with Western as far as like the New Year, New You, a lot of the outdoor yoga events. And so we wanted to tie in that active or healthy living with the community as well. But then also we want to go above and beyond to make sure that all of our manufacturing is ethical and sustainable. And so a lot of the, bigger organizations, I feel like they lost sight of that. And so that's one of the things we pretty much pledge to always keep on the radar. And so this video is kind of like a highlight of one of the niche products that we created. So back in, I want to say March, almost a year ago, I was the first one to create the shirt with the integrated mask. So like, I know it was a very cumbersome experience to try to get, acclimated to wearing a mask all the time. And so I thought, well, what better option would it be to always have it at your fingertips? So you won't have to think about it, you won't have to lose it. And so that was one of the products that we kind of created to differentiate us from different companies. And so in this video is my little brother, and he's like my role model. And so I try to be like a good inspiration for him. And so this is who you'll see on the screen now.
I may look small, but I do good things on the field. A lot of gear I used to wear wasn't really made for football. That's why I'm switching to something that protects me, gives me confidence, and allows me to be the playmaker I know I am. Because Kamili is perfect.
And so just that opportunity alone to, show him that, your hard work pays off and it's okay to be different and try different things was such a huge opportunity for me. It was like a life-changing moment. So that was really exciting. All right, so entrepreneurial trial, some things that I've kind of, encountered on the journey so far is that, as an entrepreneur, a lot of things, especially like if you want to get a bank loan or, anything dealing with capital in general, a lot of industries you have to pretty much validate your idea or the market on your own. And so one of the bank requirements is that you have to have like at least 2 years of financial backing or financial, performance. You have to have like a lot of criteria to get approved for financing. And so a lot of the times you have to use sweat equity just to get it off the ground. And so that's pretty much the gist of why, or how I used my, full-time job to support the business until it gets to the point where it could be self-sustaining. And so that's just one thing that I've, encountered. And so for the future entrepreneurs out there, just starting off, sometimes we rely on our individual networks. And so I think that on average, you probably get maybe 10% engagement from the people you know or families. And so it's important to note that you can't depend solely on them. You have to get outside of your comfort zone, meet new people, and engage with strangers, essentially. And so the journey can be lonely. And so it's important to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, like-minded individuals that can keep you motivated on the journey, because sometimes it can be discouraging. And so a few other things that are important about the entrepreneurial journey, perseverance. So I kind of think of it as like exercising for the first time. And so building that confidence or building that regiment to do it even on the days that you don't feel motivated or the days you feel discouraged. And so on the journey, it's important to have a quick break, but don't quit, follow through. Focus on supporters and people that want to see you succeed, because sometimes you'll run into people who might be negative or might discourage you or, not give you the most encouragement on your idea. And so it's important to focus on the people who want to see you succeed as opposed to those who might try to discourage you. Aspire to be better each day, so continuous improvement. One of the biggest and most important factors is that for those who want to or aspire to be an entrepreneur is to engage with an industry that is part of your purpose or a part of your passion, because on this journey it's so difficult and so cumbersome that if you work on something just for the money or just because it's a huge need for it, it makes the journey a lot more difficult on those days where you want to, give up, or the days you don't, feel like moving forward. And so if it's within your passion, it's almost like you'll move heaven and earth to make it happen. And so that's one of the big things there. And as I said, to kind of venture outside of your comfort zone, meet new people, change lives, build bonds with new people as well. And so motivation, there's a lot of resources that I wasn't really aware of at the beginning. And so one of the books that I read that I didn't note at the end of the presentation is Small Business for Dummies. And so it gave like a quick context of local resources that you can use to help you on the journey. And so a few of the resources that helped me thus far is Southwest Michigan First. And so I'm very appreciative of Kelsey, Petey, and Trisha, and a lot of other people as well. And so they help with resources, networking opportunities, and encouragement when I need it. And so the Small Business Development Center, John Schmidt and Tamara, they have been awesome, especially John. He's seen me transition from the very beginning. He's been able to refer me to different people to open doors for me. And he's also like one of my mentors, one of my, best friends almost. And so he's such a great guy. And if I never embarked on this journey, I probably would have never been able to have that strong relationship with him. So I'm very grateful for that. As far as SCORE goes, a few of my mentors there are Steve and Sherry, and they both help me with financials and marketing tactics. And then just as a quick segue or a side note, so the Michigan Economic Development Center, we were just approved by Amazon to sell internationally. And so with that being said, I've been working on my export plan, and they are helping me kind of reinforce or kind of hone that plan to make sure that it's sustainable moving forward. And so there'll be a huge help in the future. And so one of the acronyms that changed my life forever is that JOB. So JOB is an acronym for just over broke. And so I know that a lot of us can attest to the, daily trials and tribulations of the, daily workday, and knowing that sometimes you can be complacent, stagnant, and, a lot of the times the regular job won't give you the fulfillment or the opportunities that you want for your life. And so that's what really kind of made me look at the entrepreneurial journey a little bit more in depth. And so for those who want to start on the journey, it's so much better to have a game plan, but just start, because you'll never have everything perfectly. And so it's better to start with a flawed plan than to be stuck at the beginning or starting line trying to figure it out. You have to stumble and make it happen along the way. And so it's better to just start than to spend all your time trying to make the perfect plan. And so you can do it. Showing up is half the battle. It's almost like when you exercise, the days that you don't feel like exercising, but you push through and go, you feel so much more rewarded that you pushed through and made it happen. And so that's probably one of the biggest things, is just showing up. Things that I wish I knew. So the number of entrepreneurial hats that you have to wear. So I never thought I would be an accountant. I never thought that I would be a photographer. I never thought that I would be, an analyst, like so many different facets of business. And so once you start off, it's like, you think, oh, this will be fine. And then you get into it. I think of it almost as like swimming to a boat, and you look at it and say, oh, that's not far. And then you start swimming and you swim and you swim. Okay, it's a little bit farther. And then you get almost halfway and then you turn back and it's like, well, it's too far to turn back. So you got to keep pushing forward. And so just the amount of hats that you have to wear, I never thought that it would be, this cumbersome, but at the same time, it's rewarding. So that's number one. Number two, the number of long days and nights. So like this presentation alone, like after a long work day, I was speaking with Kelsey, and I kind of made a few grammatical errors, within the presentation, but I was working on this presentation like at midnight into the late night. And this is kind of like almost my daily routine. Get off work, try to exercise for a little bit, come home, work on business things. And so it's putting in that extra time each and every day that makes, the journey worth it and makes it come together. And so that kind of leads into the sacrifices that you have to make. So the Netflix nights, the weekends filled with, friends sometimes, the financial, kind of sacrifices that you have to make just to be frugal and push it forward on the days where the business is not, financial. Those are like a few of the things that you have to do to make it work. And so you have to make sacrifices. You have to give up something to gain something. Don't dwell on the failures or rejections. That's part of the journey. So like you have to knock on 1,000 doors to get 10 yeses sometimes. And so you can't take those personal. You have to allow those to make you stronger and better as opposed to weaker. Leverage your network. So, I've leveraged my WMU network a little bit just to find people who, could help me along the journey, or, give me insights on things that I might be able to improve on. And so that's one of the big things. Another big thing is reading books. So like before the entrepreneurial journey, I wasn't an avid reader, especially after school. I'm like, you know what, I will never pick up a book again. I've had it. And so just being passionate about different, facets and being able to wear different hats, like photography or accounting, like those weren't my strong suits. And so I had to read books in order to reinforce weak areas. And so that's probably like one of the biggest things that I could recommend. I want to say like 2 years ago, I read 48 books, and that was like kind of my start or transition into, reading on a regular basis. And the crazy thing is I read only during my lunch. So like while I'm at work, instead of, being on Facebook or being on Instagram or, kind of wasting that time, an hour each day accumulated to 48 books. And so that was one of the big things. Another big thing was implement your marketing strategically. I've lost a lot of money just trying to, figure it out. That's not my strong suit again. And so I had to read a lot of books to figure out what I was doing wrong. How can I, transition into a better, more robust system, and how to move forward in that regard. Another one that is very, very huge is be careful who you trust, especially in the initial stages. And I would highly recommend, if you guys have like any product specific ventures, to make sure that you get or design your provisional patent or your own first before you meet with your attorney. And that will save you a lot of money. That will save you a lot of time that you have to go back and forth with your attorney, but then also gives you more protection. I don't know. I think at the very, very beginning, I kind of didn't know the logistics of the intellectual property. And so that was kind of like one of my downfalls. But then also, even if you do have intellectual property, it takes money to protect that intellectual property. So like, if you go to a bigger company and say, hey, I have this idea, can you sign this non-disclosure agreement? They can say, oh yeah, of course, we can do that. And then they can take your idea, but you still probably won't have the capital to reinforce your IP. And so it's still important to, be careful who you trust. And one of the biggest things for me personally is to know that it's okay to ask for help. Kind of being the only child for, 24 years, essentially, I had to learn and cope with a lot of things on my own. And so kind of projecting that into the business is sometimes difficult for me to ask for help. I will carry 1,000 pounds by myself, and someone will say, hey, do you need help with the 10 pounds? No, I got it. I can take care of it. And so it's kind of cool to, be able to ask for help or let people help you on the journey. And so that's one that I tell myself each and every day, that it's okay to ask for help. And so book recommendations, last but not least. So one of the books that changed my life the most was The Compound Effect. And so this was what really made me realize the power of small decisions on a regular basis. So like reading that 1 hour per day, I would have never imagined it would accumulate to 48 books in a year. And so like just the small things, the small showing up each and every day on your business, how it can have a profound impact over the course of, 2 to 3 years. And so just the small wins over a period of time can be huge. Of course, the cliche, rich dad to poor dad, that was like pretty much one of the game changers for me as well. And so this kind of, kind of reinforced the thought of the business owner as opposed to the employee. And so that's where I got the acronym for the job that just over broke. And so I feel like that's one of the huge heavy hitters. The one thing was a reinforcement of the domino effect. So one of the things for me is being productive, right? I have to check things off my to-do list. But if you focus on the most important domino, it could almost accommodate every other to-do list or the to-do task that you have. And so as opposed to just marking things off your to-do list, it's more important to focus on the more important things. How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's like the, one of the standard books for entrepreneurs or just people in general. And this helped me understand or how to build more meaningful relationships. And so this helped me realize the importance of listening, how to speak with someone and not just wait to speak, but to actually wholeheartedly listen to what they have to say. And I feel like the world needs more of that right now. But that's one of the real books that, really helped me as well. And then lastly, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so that was really, big on improving your overall quality of life. And then also like the 4 quadrants, mainly dealing with like urgent as opposed to important. And so that made me realize, even though it's important, that might not be urgent. And so that's one of the books I would recommend as well. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of your time today, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Carl. No, that was great. And it's so exciting. I mean, I've heard your story many times, but it's always great to hear, and we're excited to have you in this community. So thank you so much for sharing today. And we will transition to our last speakers. We have Nichole Blum, Development Manager at the YWCA, and Micahel Evans, Executive Director of the Kalamazoo Literacy Council. So thank you both for joining us this morning. Hopefully. Are you guys unmuted? No.
Hello, I'm here.
Perfect.
Can you see everything okay?
Yes, we can see everything perfectly. Nichole, can you hold on one second? You should be able to unmute now, Nichole. There you are.
Yay. All right.
Perfect. I'll hand it over to you two.
That's great. Thank you. Michael's going to put it on presentation mode, but I'll start. So my name is Nichole Blum. I am with YWCA Kalamazoo. I'm a development manager there, and I oversee the strategic focus area that is improving the lives of children. And our mission at YWCA is to eliminate racism and empower women.
And I am Micahel Evans with the Kalamazoo Literacy Council. I've been doing this work for the past 10 years. And this is an organization where we envision a fully literate community by empowering adults to reach their full potential. We're so glad to be here.
The one thing we forgot to talk about, Michael, but we are presenting on today the Edison Early Childhood Education Career Pathway that our two organizations, among other partners, have come together to create access into this profession. So, all right. So we believe the entrepreneurial spirit comes from imagining the possible and working collaboratively to achieve it. That's the story of how we are creating new opportunities for the Edison neighborhood through the new Edison Children's Center located in what is known as the Creamery.
The investment in this building is more than just a building. It's a down payment on the future for an entire neighborhood, its people, its families, and the businesses that make up Edison, a place where I work and live. This innovative project has truly created a community within a community.
An entrepreneurial vision like this is possible when it is clearly articulated, it is based on true need, it is aligned in partnership with others who can make a difference, and the vision inspires a passionate commitment to the work. YWCA Kalamazoo envisioned the possibility of bringing the power early childhood education has to transform families and improve futures through the development of the Edison Children's Center. We believe in the potential of our mission and that it has to transform systems within the community. We endeavored to change how childcare is operated by looking at who provides it and how it can be delivered in a more equitable way.
So who provides it? YWCA Kalamazoo knew it could not undertake such a daunting task like this alone. So it recruited trusted partners from our community like the Kalamazoo Literacy Council, Southwest Childcare Resources, and others with the purpose of extending the opportunity for employment as an early learning professional in this new facility to the people who live in the neighborhood. We also wanted to include people outside the traditional pathway into these careers, people who would benefit most from the opportunity of obtaining living wage careers. Our goal was to take this investment in the Edison neighborhood and use it to empower people to continue learning and growing, to experience lifelong learning utilizing a multi-generational learning approach. We saw this new building that literally changed the skyline of the Edison neighborhood as an opportunity to change and empower residents and families as well.
We had the audacity to have this vision, and then we had the faith to cast it out into community. What happened next was extraordinary. We thought that we would need about 45 candidates to staff the initial 15 positions within the cohort. In the end, 102 interest forms were completed by community members who were interested in this type of a career pathway.
102 people interested. 18 were hired. Of them, 2 hadn't yet obtained a GED. 2 were English language learners, 7 were from the neighborhood, 4 were eligible for the Kalamazoo Promise, and all were grateful for the opportunity to earn a living wage while receiving support and wraparound services to obtain their CDA and complete their early childhood education apprenticeship.
So who are these people to YWCA? They are an untapped source of potential community leaders. They are representative of the community served, which is important for our families and children to feel welcomed within our space. They hold us accountable to our promise to be more than a building and live up to our mission of anti-racism and empowerment. They inspire passion and commitment to building a better future for our agency, for our families, and for our community.
Innovation and entrepreneurial thinking comes from seeing opportunity where others don't. We recognize that untapped potential of talent within Edison was an opportunity to develop a committed, loyal, and knowledgeable workforce at the neighborhood level. We recognize that talent development leads to talent retention, a strategy that will help us reduce the shortage of qualified childcare professionals in our community.
This project has been an opportunity to change the narrative of what this work looks like. It has shown that it can be neighborhood-based, it can be equitable and fair, it can be inclusive, and it can create new opportunities and new possibilities for the Edison neighborhood and community we serve.
So let's review some fast, practical facts. Vision like this becomes possible when it is clearly articulated.
We are all focused on the same mission.
It becomes possible when it is based on true need.
We have a creative solution to a really serious and big problem, and we are committed to solving it.
It becomes possible when it is aligned in partnership with others who can make a difference.
More than 12 agencies committed their expertise to this effort for the long term. We have a common commitment to success.
And it becomes possible when the vision inspires a passionate commitment to the work.
Everyone who came into this project fell in love with the potential to do good and make lasting change. That passion allowed us all to make hard choices, change our own systems, and include the voices of others to forge a new path to success and opportunity.
Now, we believe that that's entrepreneurial thinking in action, and we thank you very much for the opportunity to share this vision. We'll answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you both so much. That was great. Just to kind of clarify, can you talk a little bit about what this daycare is and how it differs? I don't know if you touched on kind of the 24-hour nature and drop-in services that are offered. So I'd love for everybody to hear about that.
Sure, absolutely. So YWCA utilizes early learning, early childhood programs, and childcare services to move our mission forward. If you're running high quality programming in early childhood, you're working not just with the child, but you're working with the child's family and the child's community, because that's the context in which they can learn and develop in. And so you want to take all of that into consideration. So YWCA uses it as a vehicle for moving our mission forward. And we do so in a way where we're not just copying and pasting the programs that we have for the sake of doing it. We expand in a way that addresses identified gaps or community communicated needs. And our expansion from the downtown location into the Edison neighborhood is based on a community communicated need of infant toddler care, as well as non-traditional childcare or childcare outside of the hours of like a 9 to 5 or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so at this Edison location, we have two programs. We have expanded our infant toddler programs modeled after early Head Start programming. And then we also have a second, third shift childcare that will operate 7 days a week. And there's also a 24-hour drop-in component to that. And so we want families to know that there's a safe, reliable, affordable place for their kids to go. And while their kids are there, they can get connected to our services and not only just our services, but through the partnerships that we've had working with places like the Literacy Council and El Concilio through this expansion.
That's awesome. We only really have time for one question for all of you. So I think really, as we all know, it takes kind of a village to raise a child. It takes a community to support businesses. What can people on this call do to support the work you all are doing, whether it's, running this daycare or the work that the YWCA does, or, supporting downtown businesses or supporting your business, Carl? What can people do to support you all?
I guess for me specifically, word of mouth marketing is huge, and so just spreading the word, sharing posts, following the social media, and of course, buying a few products would be awesome as well. And just sharing as much material content as possible.
I can say living in the Edison neighborhood, what we'd like to see is more involvement from businesses. If you have childcare needs, we would like to work with you directly to make sure that we can provide proper support for you and to help to be able to expand capacity for childcare at the neighborhood level. And we're also looking for volunteers, so many volunteers, to be able to help to be able to expand our capacity for providing services for a variety of different ways. And of course, anyone who would like to be able to be more directly involved, contact us and we can figure it out.
Do you have anything, Jennifer?
Yeah, and what I would jump in with is just shopping downtown, shopping local. Go spend your money in our businesses. They're so important and vital to this community. Get a Central Commons cocktail or beer or wine and walk around downtown, attend our events. Any of that I think really supports, what we're trying to achieve in our downtown. And then the last piece that I would add, if anybody has interest in being part of our leadership network, we have 4 citizen coalitions focused on different areas. And so those applications open in October and stay open through the month of October. So they're on our website. Starting in October, they will be. And so if you're interested in getting involved that way, please, we invite that.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today and sharing your stories and the work that you all do. I also want to thank all of our attendees for spending their time with us this morning. We hope you found this call to be beneficial. Before we go our separate ways, I know we have just a minute left. I do have a few things to share with everybody. So our team at Southwest Michigan First is currently recruiting for our entrepreneurial program First Path, which we host with our program partner Plywood People. If you're not familiar with the program, First Path helps individuals along a self-guided discovery process to establish the foundations of a business. And so getting them ready to kind of work with community partners for that technical assistance that they'll need later on. So not only do individuals get to workshop their ideas, but they become part of an entrepreneurial network. So if you're interested in learning more, Paige will be posting the link in the chat box. And you can, like I said, learn more information and apply there. And then our next Business First call will take place on Thursday, August 19th, that will focus on work-life balance, which is a great part 2 to our event that took place on June 22nd, which focused on workplace culture. So the link should be posted in the chat box for that event as well. And I will be sure to send all this information in the follow-up email later today. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Blue Cross Blue Shield for sponsoring this event, and have a wonderful day. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.